Hi guys, it's Megan Reeds and I am back to talk about my September TBR. I am beyond excited for these titles and beyond excited to be reading these books with you guys. There are new books, there are older books, they are all books on this list, obviously, that I'm very excited to read and I've heard some really great things about, and some actually polarizing. Some people say it's fantastic, some of these books. Some people say it's not so fantastic, some of these books. I say, let me check them out and then I will make that decision for myself. So there is 16 books that I'm hoping to read this month, and I think I can do it. I'm pretty good at the reading, so I'm very excited for this list. Now, how I'm going to read them out to you isn't necessarily the order that they're going to be read in. It's just how I wrote down the list of the titles. And I'm going to say right off the bat, if I say any authors' names wrong, I 100% apologize. I am not the best at pronunciation sometimes, and if I get them wrong, please know in my heart that that is not my intention, and I am trying really hard. Okay, so let's get into the list of books that I have. The first one that's on my list that I really want to read is We Used to Live Here by Marcus Kleiwer. I have heard great things about this book. I have heard that it is amazing and it's really creepy. It has the haunted house vibes. I'm so excited to read it. And then there is Ghost Camera by Darcy Coates. I am a huge Darcy Coates fan, actually. I have read so many of her books. I've actually even read her short story collections, and I'm really excited to check this out. From what I understand, it's a republication, so it didn't come out this year, but I found that out through Goodreads, but then when I did other research, it said that it was brand new, so I'm not really sure, actually. But I do know I love Darcy Coates, so I'm very excited to check it out regardless. Number 3 is What Lies Between Us by John Mars. I like John Mars a lot. I read him for the first time, I think, last year. Oh my God, that's not that long ago. Last year. And I think since then I have read three of his books, and I think he's really good. I love how he puts a plot together. I love how he puts a story together. I love how all the characters always come together, and he always has twists that I never see coming for some reason, even though I've been reading thriller books for many years. So I am a big fan and I cannot wait to read that book. And then this was a newer book. Number 4, The Days I Loved You Most by Amy Neff. I have heard that this book is going to make me cry. I have heard that this book is going to be kind of hard to read because if I'm not mistaken in the plot, one of the characters finds out that they are going to die, and it's them with their loved one during that time before they go. So that's going to be really traumatizing, probably, and pretty hard to read. But at the same time, you know what? You need you need that heart to just jump a little bit, and I think it's going to be a really emotional read. And hey, you never know, we could get some great conversations out of that. And I've never read from this author before. I actually don't know if this is a debut or not, but I'm really excited to check her out because this seems really interesting. And then number 5, The Good Girl by Mary Kubica. I love Mary Kubica. I have read so many of her books. They're always fun. They're always entertaining. They're always such a good time. I cannot wait to check out this thriller, let me tell you. And then number 6, Where Echoes Die by Courtney Gould. I've never heard from this author before, but the book cover, it's so beautiful that I could not help myself. The second that I saw the book cover, I was like, well, we just need to find out what this is about. And more or less, when I found out the synopsis of the book, I fell absolutely in love with it, and it was so good. It sounds great. So I'm really excited to get into that. Number 7, we have Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I know so many people that want me to read this book, and so many people that have told me I'm going to fall in love with it. So I'm going to check it out. I've been a little hesitant and a little nervous to read it because I'm not the biggest fan of YA. Hey, there are moments it does it for me, but 9 times out of 10, I'm more like, oh God, than anything. But you never know. This has great reviews. Many people love it, and maybe I'll be one of them. I am really hoping that I am one of them. We'll see. Number 8 is Nestlings by Nat Cassidy. I have had this book for such a long time, and the cover again. The cover. It is so creepy horror vibes. It is exactly what I love. I almost I was so close. I almost was like, let me wait for October for this. But I'm like, first of all, I have a lot of Halloween type books that I'm going to be reading in October. And I have been trying to get to this for so long and keep putting it off for reasons I don't truly understand. But I have heard this is also quite emotional and it deals with motherhood. So that's going to hit close to home, the motherhood angle for sure. And I believe in the synopsis there was something wrong with the mother due to her having her child. She was paralyzed, if I'm not mistaken. And I know they move into this new place. It's given me Rosemary's Baby vibes just a little bit from the synopsis that I did read. So for that, I'm extremely excited. Number 9, Near the Bone by Christina Henry. I love Christina Henry. I think that she is such a talented writer, and I've gotten really into her probably actually within the last 2 years that I've been gone. I have read quite a bit of her work, and I really like how she writes. She really hits me right in the ugh. And I've also heard that Near the Bone is one of her best that she's ever done. And this is another book I've had forever, and I don't know why I haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm rectifying that situation this month. Let me tell you that. And I heard it's also about abusive relationships or like a big situation in there. And it's like monsters in the real world and an actual monster as well. So I think it's going to have some interesting conversations. It's also going to be a kind of a hard read, maybe, due to the nature of abuse. But at the same time, I think it's going to be a great read. And I'm really, really excited to check it out. Number 10 is Murder Road by Simone St. James. The reason I paused, I love Simone St. James. Actually, one of her books that I read a couple of years ago is actually one of my favorite books that I've ever read. I have it on my bookshelf right over there. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. But I've heard that this book is not that good. And a lot of the booktubers that I love and I respect and I find so entertaining have given it like 1 star or 2 stars. And when they've done 2 stars, they're like, I'm being kind. So I'm not going to be kind. If it's a bad book, I'm going to be really honest. I'm really hoping it's not a bad book, though. I'm hoping that I find some redeeming qualities. Maybe it's great. You never know. You have to be the judge. So I'm going to judge the hell out of it. And we're going to see if it's good or not. I have some good hopes. So we'll see. Number 11, Chang Gang All-Stars by Nana Kwame Ajay Brenya. I really hope I am saying that last name right. If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. But this book, I have been so excited to read it. I thought that the synopsis was so interesting. I've heard wonderful things about this author. I've heard fantastic things about this book. It's won many awards. I think it's going to have some really interesting conversations on the prison system, actually, and relationships. There's so many. This is one of those books that I can't put in one genre and I can't put in one box per se. So due to that, I might sound like I don't really know what I'm talking about when it comes to it. But at the same time, I'm kind of happy that I don't fully understand what I'm talking about, because when I go into it, I'm going to go into it not having a lot of expectations, just knowing it's going to be really good and it should be a hell of a read. So I'm really excited to read that and see what I think. Number 12, Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. I got into Sally Rooney actually earlier this year. Everybody always talks about how amazing she is, but I'll be honest with you, I was nervous to read her because I thought to myself, she's one of those writers that's really smart, and she writes so smart that sometimes I was nervous. What if this goes over my head? What if I don't get this? But let me tell you, I read one of her books and it did not go over my head. It actually went right into my chest and just stayed there. It was such an emotional read, and I found myself finishing it in hours. And ever since I finished one of her previous books, I knew I was going to pick up more from her. So finally, we're getting to Conversations with Friends, which I also believe is now like a Hulu movie or something. So after I read it, maybe I'll actually watch the movie. That could be good. Number 13, Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. I've read her before, and she is a wonderful author. She did Masters of Death, and I read that like 4 or 5 months ago, and I love that book. I thought it was so interesting and so good. So the fact that she is writing a romance book, that's not paranormal influence as far as I know, I thought was going to be really interesting to check out. So I'm super, super, super excited to check it out and see what it's all about. Number 14, In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune. I have had this book on my bookshelf forever. I'm not kidding you. And this is my issue that I have. T.J. Klune, I love him. I love his books. They affect me emotionally so much. I never want to finish them. And what I have noticed is every time I have a T.J. Klune book, I put off reading it for an extremely long time because number one, I know I'm going to fall in love with it. And number two, I know I'm going to have to say goodbye to the characters. And I don't want to do that. So my noggin says if I keep it on the shelf long enough, then it's like not saying goodbye to this story that I just know without even opening the page I'm going to fall in love with. And In the Lives of Puppets is probably going to be one of those. So I am excited to read it, but I'm hoping beyond hope that it's exactly what I'm expecting, to love it so much. But considering I've loved everything else the man has written, I'm probably going to love this one too. So I'm really excited. And then number 15 is Someone in the Attic by Andrea Mara. I'm so excited for this one. First of all, if you are afraid of like strangers coming into your house and invasions, this book is going to fucking terrify you. I'm telling you right now, when I read the synopsis of this, I was like, so I'm reading this when someone's home. I'm not going to read this when I'm alone or in the middle of the night because I'm going to hear sound and get fucking terrified. But and I don't have an attic. So you know what? I live in New York. There are no attics. So I'm not as scared as I could have been. I was originally going to read this thing when I was on vacation, and I was like, no, I'm in a cabin. It's a bad idea. So this is the one that I'm reading. I am beyond excited to check it out. It's going to be really creepy. I hope so. I'm saying all this and I'm talking all this hype game, and what if it's not? But you know what? We don't know. I've actually never read from this author before. I also don't know if this is a debut. It could be, it could not be. I'm not actually sure. And then number 16, Same as It Ever Was by Claire Lombardo. I went to the bookstore the other day and saw this book and was like, damn, this is a big ass book. And then I picked it up and I was reading about it and I was like, oh, this sounds really good and really interesting and like a really good like family conversation about growing up and growing older and all these different situations in life. And I was like, I want to check that out. I feel like this is a book I am either going to absolutely love or give 1 star. I don't think there's going to be a middle ground with this book, which is another reason I wanted it on this list. I feel like there's a good amount of books in this list that I more or less know the kind of books I personally like to read. So I'm like, I'm going to give this probably a good star. Maybe not. This one probably. This one, not really sure, but it sounds really good and it has pretty good reviews. So So I am excited to check it out. And that is my list. There are 16 books on this list. I'm so excited. I think it's going to be so much fun to check out, so much fun to read all of these, and especially to read them with you. And what's going to happen is the next time you see me, it's going to be in 2 weeks. And some of those books that I just talked about right now are going to be read. And you're basically going to see me read them, go through everything, and you're going to see my reactions in real time. So, we'll see. We'll see what we feel about this. We'll see if we like it. I have some good feelings about the September TBR. I'm already starting to think about October. I'm getting ahead of myself already. See, I do this every time. No matter what I do, I'm always getting ahead of myself. But this was the September TBR, and I really, really hope that some of these titles speak to you or you're interested to see me review them, either because you love the book, hate the book, or are unsure about the book. Either way, I hope one of these 16 interests you, or maybe all of them do, or maybe none of them do, and you just came to say hello. And if that's the case, hi, it's nice to see you. And I will be back in 2 weeks with an update, and I'm looking at me filming this right now, and this is like 15 minutes long, and all I did was talk so briefly. So that video, when I'm like going in depth about each book, is going to be so intense. I'm really excited for that, actually. Well, I will see you guys in 2 weeks, and you will see what I thought about some of these books. I'll see you then. Bye.